Hello, dear viewers. We welcome you on the international platform of the Creative Society, where we continue to discuss vital issues for all humanity, which were raised at the conference Global Crisis Time for the Truth on December 4th, 2021. The information that is silenced in the official media today, thanks to the courageous actions of concerned people around the world, sounds loud and honest. The fact that sounded honest and the scientists about climate change on the planet and honest information that they have brought out give a wide resonance around the world. And today, millions of people understand the importance of finding effective solutions together.
On May 7th, 2022, the Universal Forum Global Crisis, We Are People and We Want to Live will take place, where the whole world community will be gathered on one platform. As you know, it's going to take place on the platform of Creative Society. And that means that everyone can take part in it. Doesn't matter where they live, where they are. People can take part in preparation and searching information and conducting this really fateful event.
Right, and today we would like to introduce our great guest, a PhD in social sciences and environmental humanist from Pakistan, Ali Aziz, and an ecologist from Israel, Anna Kotlar, an independent analyst, Bezverchenko, biochemist, neuroinformatician from Germany, Masny. Dear friends, greetings. We're happy to welcome you at today's international discussion, and thank you very much for your active participating in the social project Creative Society. And right now we suggest to watch an exhibit from the conference Global Crisis Time for the Truth.
Four months have passed since the time of the previous conference, and over this relatively short period, we have seen how much the progression of climate change and environmental degradation has accelerated. It's important not to remain silent, because this survival of all humanity is at stake. It is time for the truth.
We are now in a world where every single day, somewhere in the world, a climate extreme event is going to take place that will break the world record of that particular place.
The European floods this summer or the Western North America heat wave this summer. Both of those extreme events were due to the jet stream reacting in very unusual ways, in ways that climate models did not predict would happen.
When I'm out in the field, I always hear people say that I never thought it would happen to me, and they're always surprised. Can you imagine how devastated you would be if you lost everything that you owned? If you watched the people around you, the people that you love, struggle and suffer or even die?
We have to understand we're one people on one planet, and it's up to us together to solve these problems.
We cannot leave it to our leaders. The leaders have shown that they are not up to the task. The leaders think of themselves as leaders of their own country. They don't care about the rest of the world.
The problem right now is we've all surrendered a certain amount of our power to centralized authority, and they're trying to use that to take over everything. And they've been using this excuse of anthropogenic global warming in order to try to consolidate their wealth and control. So we've got to just completely abandon and expose that.
The discussion about the climate is narrowed down to the reduction of CO2 and global warming gases. And I think the problem is much broader than that.
There's a widespread belief that climate change is a result of human activity. This is reflected in the 5th and the 6th report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. But these beliefs are wrong.
The world's governments, through the UN, formed the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now, you would think that would be studying climate change, but they specified that you study the human causes of climate change. So they ruled out all natural factors. They said, no, we're not going to study whether the sun plays a role. We're not going to study whether volcanoes play a role. We're not going to study whether ocean current shifts play a role. And we really don't understand clouds, so we're not going to count them much. What we're going to study is human CO2 emissions, because that's what we can get a handle on. That's not the way science is supposed to work.
Anthropogenic global warming is a grandiose scientific scam of the 20th century.
Green energy is not green at all. And wind power is not green because wind farms require enormous amounts of concrete and metal to construct, disturb wildlife, harm human health with noise pollution, kill hundreds of thousands of birds each year, pollute our air and water supply. We pay high prices for something that will never meet our needs.
We need to build a humanity that lives like a beehive, and we have to build a society that puts human life first. If we combine our scientific, technological, and intellectual resources, we can solve the problem of climate change.
If we fail, we face the real possibility that if we don't get our act together and start preparing for this cataclysm, we face the very real possibility of extinguishing human life on the Earth. A supervolcano is quite capable of completely taking a species out. And I say, if we come together correctly, if we really put our hearts and our minds to the task of preparing correctly, then we could not only survive what's coming, we could be the first species on this nice little blue marble to thrive through the next cyclical destruction.
Let's follow the Creative Society's survival guide. The 3 easy steps. Learn more, spread information, and unite to build a creative society.
After all, this world is given to all mankind with only one purpose: to live and be healthy, happy, to create and not to destroy.
The Creative Society is a project of everyone. We do not collect any donations or funds that disappear in the deep pockets. Instead, each person acts in their abilities and uses resources they already have. It is your opportunity to be a part of the solution and live out your superhero potential.
Wow, what an amazing video. Really, something that has never been done in the history of humankind, when people themselves, without any financial interest, without any support from governmental organizations or private corporations, got together and really decided to research what's going on our planet. I have to say I rewatched it and rewatching it second time right now because the number of facts is just huge. It's a tremendous amount of information about what's going on in our world today. And I would like to get the feedback from our guests today. What did impress you the most in the conference? Global Crisis, Time for the Truth. And let's start with Dr. Ali.
Invitation regarding the issues, very burning issues at the moment across the world. Yeah, it was a very interesting experience to know about the global crisis, and that's shared by the Creative Society. Actually, this conference is very much important. It should be happen before 5 years or 6 years when the different countries have the idea to start working on the Millennium Goals or the Sustainable Development Goals. That time, I think we need that conference at that time, but it's okay. We are not a bit late yet. So my experience with this conference, I'm still watching it. It's a very long conference to watch it carefully about every content. The most important issue that I'm really excited to know about that. What's going on with our ecological structure or ecological system of the planet Earth. That is much important issue for me because I'm looking for this aspect since a long time. What's going on? What kind of the changing that is happening right now in the world with the geographical structure of the Earth, and also what the human interference bring a very great changes. That changes comes to an end of the disasters. So I'm looking for that aspects of this conference, particularly that aspects, because if we are unable to restore the ecological structure of the planet Earth, we will not be able to survive on this Earth. So that ecological structure or the ecological system is very much linked with the human interference or the human activities. So with that part, I'm really looking forward to it. So it's like a very knowledgeable discussion about the ecological issues, about the fossil fuels, about the green revolution, about the technological use that constantly producing a mass debris on the earth. That is, I'm really concerned about it, that this technological changes by the technological advancement will definitely affect or destroy the ecological system. So that I'm looking forward to it, to know more about it, and this conference is very much important related to this matter.
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. You're absolutely right, because information which was posted at the conference leaves no one just indifferent. Those people who are observing what's happening today to our common home, the planet. And I would also like to suggest Anna share her impressions from the conference. Please, Anna, the floor is yours. Thank you for the question. And the conference Global Crisis Time for the Truth has impressed me greatly, as I'm an ecologist, and what was really precious to me was that the problem was were presented not just one-sidedly, so to say, but in comprehensive way. And not from the point of view or like major environmental factors. They say that CO2 emissions are to be guilty of ecological crisis, but information was presented from different points of view, and experts from different fields spoke about the problem coherently and without any, kind of division that it was just kind of ecological problems and social ones. But we have been able to see the whole complex of different kinds of crises that we're going through, and we managed to see the ways out of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna. It's really, we are happy to hear from you as an ecologist that you like seeing other perspectives. I wish all people would learn not only their field of research, but also what the colleagues are doing. That's the only way we can get really comprehensive picture, exactly like what was presented on December 4th conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth. And the next question I would like to address to independent analyst Ivan Bezverchenko. Please, Ivan, what was your thoughts after watching the conference, and what did impress you the most?
Well, for me, the most impressive part was the scale of this conference. The translation into 100 languages, that would take at least 200-300 people just to translate. And the amount of work that was done prior to this conference in order to get the material ready. I did have a chance to speak to many of the scientists which were participating. And I've seen that material, the amount of data that people had to go through, the work and the ability of this huge amount of people to come together as one and do this conference. And the way it came out is just amazing. So I'm really glad that I'm part of this, and I'm hoping, and I'm anxiously waiting to see more, because I really want to see the entire world to unite, and I believe it's going to happen very soon, I think. Thank you.
Спасибо огромное, Иван. Да, действительно.
Thank you so much, Ivan. Yeah, it's true. I agree with you that I just can't wait to see the day when all the humanity will get united under one flag, the creative society, and will step into evolutionary leap, so to say, right? So thank you very much for your sharing the impressions about the conference. And also, I would like to ask a question. Our next guest speaker, Alexander Masny, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalia, for the question. And what was impressive for me, it's actually a very good question. So everything was impressive, and it's really hard to find one unique point, because the whole conference is actually unique. And we see this unity of people who really want to live, and they want to do everything they can in order to tell the truth, tell in what society do we live, what is happening around us. And this part with this hard truth, this sour truth, I mean, all these facts about slavery, about this really nonsense, what is going on in some spheres, which is actually people do not usually talk about, or talk silently in the places where nobody hears them. And here on the conference, people openly talk about these hard facts, about this hard situation. And by doing this, we also propose a solution, creative society, a society where this nonsense cannot just happen at all, because human life will be in the first place. And this hymn of life, that's how I can call this conference, this song for love, where people united just want to awake everyone else on earth by telling this truth. This is what is really unique. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexander. Thank you. Yes, I totally agree with you. The song that started the conference and that was closing the conference as well was so amazing, because it's a true vision of how people can unite from all over the world. Just imagine, the song was made itself by dozens of people in it. Like, have you ever seen anything like that? Have you ever seen people coming together like this with no financial interest? It's all based on human values. They're the same for every person in the world. Doesn't matter the country, the religion, or anything else. Just like here on this round table. And I'm so pleased to have Dr. Ali with us here. And I know how much active he is on Twitter. And one of the posts I really loved when he was posting about the peer reviews, because today the science became not about scientific research, not about thinking with your own brain, but only about checking is it peer reviewed or not peer reviewed. So scientists just reject something that's the new information for them, something they haven't seen. Even though in the conference, each fact was proven by field research, by scientists who dedicated decades of their research, of their life to it. We see that some people still only care about, is it peer-reviewed or not peer-reviewed? Dr. Ali, could you tell us more about the peer reviews, and can we actually trust that peer-reviewed based science?
Yes, there is something very interesting I really want to share in this roundtable discussion about the peer review. Actually, we have to understand what is peer review. The peer review is a research that is reviewed by the other person or the other fellow that is from the same field. So after the review, it is published by the particular or the specific publishers. They call it a peer-reviewed research. So what is that specific publishers or the specific database? So that is much important for everyone to know about them, how they are doing the business with science. We should have to understand how these databases, that not everyone has an equal access to get the data. That is, we have some databases, like for example, we can see like a Scopus and a Web of Sciences. So we can see they are like the database which they have a different publishers, like Taylor and Francis, like Sage, like Springer, like Emerald, and we can see emerging source. So these all are publishers or the group of journals that are working on the peer-reviewed publications or the peer-reviewed research. So when you go inside, when you see, when you overview all these databases, all the publishers, they are asking for the huge money for the publications. It's not free. It's not the part of the open science. So after we can see the revolution of the computer technology, the Second World War, the importance of the access to the database is really curious for every developed country to get and to hold it. So we can see it is like science is not accessible for everyone. The peer-reviewed data or the data that has been under the control of these publishers are not accessible for every country. It is held under the specific market or the specific corporate sector. These are the corporate sectors, we can say. So these peer-reviewed data, those who are funded by the organizations in the medical science or in the space science or in the engineering side and in the physics field or in the nuclear side, you can see that is not accessible for everyone. They are limited. You have to pay and then you get the data. We are living in a world where you cannot get the knowledge or the information without even the power or without even the money. So these peer-reviewed business is really, we can see that exploited by the scientists, by themselves. We already have seen it in psychology, in the field of psychology, in the field of psychiatry, that where the PTSD, that is the war veterans, are like the scales or the different disorders placed in the PTSD. So if there is a new disorder or if there is a new problem, there must be passed by the Congress or some particular psychologist after to get from the peer-reviewed data that is placed to be in the PTSD. It's not an equal opportunity for everyone to include the disorder in the PTSD. That is a real issue that is happening right now in US and other countries. We can see it. So the same happening with the climate change. So if they want to share the data they want through the peer review, it's already controllable. If they want what they want to share, they will share. That is a big question. It's not an open science. What's going on with the space? What's going on with the geographical structure of the planet Earth? What's going on in the Arctic part of the Earth? And what's going on with Amazon? What's going on with the Australia, New Zealand, or to the all poles? That will be shared by or accepted by the scientists, who is shared by the peer review. So it's not an open science that everyone can get the access and understand it, what's going on with this the climate change scenario. That at the same time, we can see we really didn't get the actual picture of the fossil fuels effects on the climate change. At the same time, we can see the plastics or the silicons we produce by the technological advancement, where these waste it's not not recyclable, or if it is recyclable, it's in a very big amount, or it's a very big part of the pollution that is we don't have any data about it, because the scientists only accepted by the peer-reviewed data. So if the scientists, they are really truthful, or they are really honest with the science, why they are not leaving it to the open science? Why it not available freely for the rest of the world, where common people can get it and understand what's going on? So that is what Einstein said. So the knowledge that is not understandable is not the knowledge. It's like if they make it more complex, they make it more inaccessible, they make it more like to very in specific control, so that few people can hold it. And that we have already seen it in a different documentaries. We have seen it, that the data that is not equally shared with the developing countries, and we are asking about it. What's going on? What's the leader of the G7 countries, or what's the leaders of the developed countries from the Western world, what they are doing, what they have fulfilled about the Paris Agreement? So that's all related with these peer-reviewed data, and it is not fair. It's not a justice. It's against these all activism. It's all the honesty with this beautiful planet Earth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Asif Ali, for all these points that you made. And actually, there are really a lot of issues in science that are just silenced. Nobody talks about it. I mean, it's really a very hard situation that is what is going on, because it is common in our society that we trust science, we trust scientists, right? And what you just said, that but where is open science in it? Why some data is really hidden and nobody can get access to? Sometimes scientists claim that there is open access, but physically cannot get this data because you need to go under certain controls, you need to have some certain access to the data and so on. So there are really a lot of issues with this. And if we claim that it is science, so means that we can reproduce some research, we can really get this initial data and understand what is going on. And then what we are feeding, like as a society, we just get these final statements, results from scientists, from these papers that are published. And we trying to understand what our reality is, what is going on in reality, because scientists are smart people, they have these scientific degrees, all these publications are peer reviewed, so by the fellows. But is it like that? Is it what's really happening in reality? We know that all science cannot exist without financement, right? So without finance, sponsors, and grants. And what are the sponsors are really interested in? Are they interested in life of people? Are they interested in truth? Just ask your question, what are sponsors usually interested in? In money. They're interested in gain more profit. And when we really see, it's really this situation where some editors of journals, of these peer-reviewed journals where like people cannot publish without peer review, the editors are just bought. They making money with some illegal schemes, and they just accept only such publications that their sponsors allow them. The situation is happening everywhere in science, and some scientists are just openly talk about it. They also try to publish this research, what is going on, and tell about this situation. For example, what we discussed on the conference, this ClimateGate emails. We see clearly how some group of scientists are just
making such situation where editors that do not follow these rules just got fired. So they really abandoned by the scientific community, and they cannot get a new job, and etc. So just not allowed to participate in this theater that is called science. And it's only one situation. Another thing that all this research in every scientific language is really made complex, not understandable by people. If we see some publications some 100 years ago and earlier, so it was understandable. People can really get any paper and understand what is said about it in simple words. So it was clear. Yeah, of course, right now everything has gotten complicated. We're talking about different spheres and etc. But it's are this science made for people? And the question is, what is true science is about? What is a true scientist should do? A true scientist should really care about people and care about truth, not about his or her profit. It's a really hard and situation that we need to really overcome, and we need to change the scheme and where the science exists. There are really other questions, for example, a crisis of reproducibility of scientific papers that nobody can reproduce these results, and in psychiatry, for example, and I'm sure the same situation will be in all other areas of science. And how can we overcome this? So we understand that in the consumerist format of society, this will not happen, because profit will be on the first place, not human life, not the truth and reality what is going on. The reality that is really crucial nowadays. What is happening with our planet? What is happening in the core of our planet? Why we are only talking about concept of anthropogenic factor that is influencing our climate, and not about truth factor, like what is going on in with this cosmic radiation and how sun influences Earth, and what are the climate change on other planets. So it's really important question to ask yourself and really to dig into this topic. Just read more about it and have a fresh view on it. And again, I would like to remind that true scientist will do everything he or she can do in order to save life, in order that this life on this planet will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Yes. Absolutely agree with you. Science has to be open to new facts and not reject them. But what we see right now happening is that certain scientists, so-called scientists and self-proclaimed experts who made business out of talking about certain things like CO2 traveling around the world, talking about threats of CO2, and receiving money from corporations and from private organizations for visiting different forums, they got themselves very convenient. So they see it as a personal threat to their income, to their fancy lifestyle, when somebody is exposing facts that are not fitting in this model of so-called hockey rock stick graph, which is a proven hoax, which is completely goes against facts, scientific facts, but still somehow we have that thing making fortunes for people. So they of course they're furious about these facts. But I have a simple question. We have 40 years of all this CO2 talks, and what's happening to the climate? Did any of those people who talking about CO2, did it improve anyone's life? In fact, no. We see how much this 40 years of procrastination on real science, on real open mind science about the climate change, how much it cost us. It cost us human lives every day. And those lives, those money that were made on CO2 tokens during these years, they covered with blood of those people who died from climate change in recent years and before. So the next question I would like to ask to Anna is how complicated it is to speak the truth, to be honest scientists today, when we see such a bullying in the scientific community who see truth as a personal threat?
Thank you. This is indeed a very important question, and I believe that ecology is one of the striking examples of the result of such kind of attitude of, specific people, so to say, who put their financial and political and egocentric interests higher than the lives of people. And ecology, right? Let us just say that this concept that ecology is just an anthropogenic factor influencing our biosphere. But ecology is not a climate forming factor, right? And unfortunately today there is confusion between these two concepts. Right. So people did not kind of determine our position on a global scale, because as the anthropogenic factor, what it means the result of people's actions, right, or activities, and the way companies, enterprises operate, right, how waste is distributed and from one country just taken to another one, right? So all these issues, they represent the whole system, okay? And when we have kind of wrong priorities, when we have wrong values, when money and consumerism dominate in our society, then we people actually kill our planet, because our planet is unfortunately already exhausted and it is already poisoned, and it's really critical actually for our life, right? Because in such a way we kind of kill our immune system. Just can you imagine that? This is a real critical situation, and I would like now to touch upon my priorities. Resolve issues. Okay, so I just suggest you right now. Just imagine our planet as just one big house, right, in which all of us live, right? And actually our house, meaning planet, right, it's very dirty, and all the rooms are just littered, and we have no fresh air, and the food that we consume is already poisonous. So are all these factors important for our life? Right, of course they are important, but if at a definite point we see that actually we get the ceiling crumbling right onto us, and the roof collapses. So if we already start just noticing that the whole roof will just fall on our heads, so as owners of this house, what's the way out, right? What decision shall we make? So what does our society offer? How to arrange all this kind of solve these issues? A society, or the so-called scientists, they suggest kind of changing furniture, so to say, in this house, right? But we must understand, society, we must understand we must solve climate problems first of all, so that we have a place to live, and we can solve this problem only if we get united and we unite our scientific potential and technological potential. Surely ecological problems are very important to solve, but unfortunately today this is a manipulative topic, and it is put forward as a factor kind of in the solution, so would help us save our planet. But it is very important to understand the difference between climate and ecology, and we should be looking for the ways to solve these problems.
That we see also currently that switching these PowerPoints, as in Anna's example, was also very clearly show that it now also causing issues, and people, for example, like in Berlin, they were prepared for the blackouts. So it was an issue with these new green, so-called green sources of energy, and people, when it was really cold outside, it was fortunately only -3. but it may be minus 20 or minus 50. And people with this green energy can be just left alone, one-on-one on climate situation. And not only climate, I'm sorry, I need to correct myself, with this weather situation that was outside. But if something tornado goes, just an example, a horrible example, but just imagine if we need urgently some sources of energy and nothing can happen right now without electricity. And we will rely on these sources that may work or may not. And we just destroying, for example, what is happening in Germany, all these reliable plants. These conventional energy sources are just stopped because of the CO2 reducing politics, and we're switching to these green sources. And who are thinking about people's life? Who are thinking about whether people will survive or not? Preparing these advertisements about how you can save heat or cold in your refrigerator, or maybe get some water in bottles because nothing will work. You could not get water from your tap. Is it caring about life? This is a good question that everyone can ask him or herself.
Absolutely, Alexander. And we've seen what happened in Germany last winter when the wind just wasn't there, and the whole country stayed without no electricity and had to use, guess what, gas. And the prices went up, and it was a very critical situation. And we see similar things happening this year. So one of my favorite blogs at the conference, the most impressive and remarkable for me, was about wind turbines and solar panels, when they showed how much fossil fuels are used to produce those, and how much fossil fuels are used on every stage of maintaining it, how much lubricants made from fossil fuels are used in the wind turbines, how much not reliable those energy sources are, and how much toxic waste they create afterwards. And this goes against any common sense, against any logic, against any mathematical calculations. But it's a very profitable business. It's a very profitable business. So the data about it is being manipulated. We're being told only about the certain things about the green energy, and not being told the other data, where the data that's been shown on Time for the Truth conference clearly shows that this is not green unless it's green for someone's pocket, and this is not reliable, that we shoot ourselves in the leg as a humanity by switching to unreliable energy sources in the times when climate becomes tougher and tougher on people each year. And we see that floodings, tornadoes, earthquakes are happening all over the world much more than ever before. We see the dramatic changes in temperatures. And if these disasters continue and we're still going to be playing these games of we don't want to look at non-anthropogenic, we only want to talk about CO2, what's going to happen? Will we survive as a humanity? Can we find the solution to the real problems if we keep being so infant? I cannot find another word. So how vital it is to actually spread the truth. Ivan, I would like to ask you this question.
Would you please elaborate? Because there's so much I want to tell you about, but narrow me down a little bit.
Obviously, let's take, for example, the situation in Europe. Just last summer, we've seen the floodings that never happened before, and we've seen tornadoes that went through Czech Republic all the way to Ukraine. That's something that 10 years ago just would sound like a crazy joke.
Yeah, it
and
wasn't
in these
thinkable.
times, we would allow ourselves to play into CO2 hoax theories. Where is it leading us as a humanity if we don't actually wake up and see the effects?
All right. Well, I don't think if things are going to go the way they're going, we are out of luck. And the only way to deal with the issue is actually get our things together, get our act together. And the together part is the key here, because so far, the way we see things, we're not playing along. Just like you said, people are acting childish, they're ignorant, they don't want to know about others, they just care about their own problems. And that's where the problem lies. And the crisis that we are in, it's far beyond climate these days. It's truly global crisis. I will tell you more. It's outside of global. The problem lies way beyond our solar system, even. Not forget about the planet, beyond our solar system. The key issue here is that our planet is being destroyed as we speak. It's falling apart because of the issue of cosmic proportions. The source of our problems is lying in intergalactic space. So our planet is actually, our solar system is entering the beam of cosmic rays, which is silently destroying our planet as we speak, and in every way possible. And it starts with the Earth's core. From there on, you see the mantle going up, and it results in huge amount of volcanoes waking up every moment. We see a rise of earthquake activity in magnitude and scale and the quantity as well. All of that is causing the warming up of the oceans. It's also causing those emissions which we are calculating as our own, as well as we see less and less habitat for humans, safe habitat for humans at this point. So people basically have to leave the places which they used to live for hundreds of years, even thousands of years until now. And now they have to move somewhere, but nobody wants to see them. Nobody wants to welcome them and on their own territory. And that's the problem that we have right now. And with the amount of issues that we have to face, we really have to think the way we're going to deal about it. We have to be much more friendly to each other. We have to be helpful. We have to, gather all our strengths and resources and put it to solving these issues. But instead, we're fighting. Look, we're on the brink of World War III. Is it okay? I don't think so. We have much more. We have better things to do at the moment than fighting each other, and wasting our resources of deciding who is more important. I'll bring a simple example. I really like the example which was brought before me by our ecologist. Imagine a group of people wants to build a house. Let's say 10 people. And there are two case scenarios. One, each individual decides that he is a king and he has to enslave the rest of them and make them to build his own house. And instead of using the materials to build the house, they actually throw them at each other, they fight, and they manipulate each other. And basically, instead of building the house, they just raging war on each other and whatnot. And there is another case scenario where this group of people is deciding to act together and help each other, treat each other the best way possible, and to make the house so it suits everybody's needs. Who is going to build it first, and who is going to end up better off in the end? I think the answer is obvious. It's the second group. So the creative society is actually giving us the opportunity of solving these issues fast and fast and effective way, where everybody is going to get comfortable, rather than consumer society was destroying itself and us within it for the past 6,000 years. So I hope I answered your question. I can keep on going. I just, I don't know how much time we have.
Absolutely, you did. Thank you so much.
Спасибо вам огромное за ваши искренние.
Thank you, Ivan, for your sincere opinion, and truly so that information was at the conference Global Crisis, Time for the Truth. In this conference and information opens out for us a comprehensive picture and gives us the way out of these issues. And dear speakers, it's thank you very much that you explained in a clear way that the processes of climate change happening today, they're cyclical, and this fully explains this kind of global fraud actually, which is kind of implemented in social media. This so-called anthropogenic factor and CO2 emissions as the guilt for all our crises. And now I'm starting to understand why this fight against CO2 right does not bring actually any results, and why all these just cataclysms keep on happening. And for example, anomalous cataclysm happening in the places that have never never occurred there before. And of course we need to get united and to understand the reasons, true reasons for climate change, because while today's official scientists, right, they still believe that CO2 is the key point, the key factor of climate change. So until our official scientists believe so, we do not have any chance to bring positive changes. And right now I suggest to watch an expert from the conference about cyclicality with participation of Igor Mikhailovich Danilov.
Igor Mikhailovich, by what means can humanity withstand this impact?
And it's the most important question. Why do we need the entire human potential? Why cannot someone do it on their own? Because first of all, we don't have this knowledge. We don't have this kind of energy. We have to understand that the power of impact affecting our planet is enormous. So all the energy that we have on Earth that is available to us is not enough to counteract the power of impact that is taking place. There is a small nuance here too. I'll just explain for understanding. Let's not delve too much into this, it would take a lot of time. I understand that people might be curious, but the impact is taking place not at the macro, but at the micro level. In other words, it's not a direct impact of macro objects in outer space on macro objects. It's an interaction at the micro level between particles. It is an enormous energy. Again, I understand that the question will arise, but how is that? The interaction between large objects is a huge energy, but between particles it is weak.
Well, yes.
You see, our science is in such a state nowadays that we cannot answer many questions yet. That is why we need the combined potential to answer it. The interaction between particles, those that make up our entire universe, takes place at the energy level. It's an exchange of information as well as interconnections. That's where gravitation and many other things emerge. So these interactions are very strong. Look at what is happening to the planet. After all, destabilization comes from within the planet, while everything else is a consequence that we see. Now some people will say, what about other planets, my friends? On other planets too. We see what is happening now in the solar system, on other planets, those very landslides on Mars and many other things. There is activity too and everything else. This means it's all about cyclicity. It's just that it is somehow not trendy to talk about it, or somehow. After all, carbon dioxide couldn't have affected Mars and caused the formation of landslides, indicating instability there. But mainly the planets that have a core and magma are affected. If it's just a rock, it will remain a rock. There is nothing in it that would give rise to dissonance. There is only resonance between particles in it. It's just a rock. Whereas our planet is very complex, it has a core, magma, a crust, and an atmosphere. In other words, these are different spheres, just like in a human body, but they are coordinated. A single organism is formed. What will disorders in, say, a person's bone structure lead to? To irreversible consequences. The same is true for the vascular system or any other part. Whatever we take, any system, any disorder leads to a global destruction of the organism. It's the same with us here. Therefore, what do we need in order to counteract this? An equally strong counteraction. Let me give you a simple example. Let's use Tatiana, for example, for you to understand. Let's suppose I give her a little push, and she tilts. Why? Because there is a force of impact. And now resist it. You see, exactly the same impact, but she doesn't tilt. Why? Because she counteracts my action. If we don't put forward this counteraction, our world will simply collapse. Mars is an example of that. Those who are smart will understand, look and see where we are going. Why? Because the cause is the same, and the effect will be the same. Again, here we not only need to possess this energy, and in order to possess it, we need to discover these sources. But we also need to understand what it is and how to use it. For example, we do not use this energy correctly. Let me push you, and you apply the same force. In the other direction, you see, it's even greater. She almost fell. Why? Even a light touch.
Without help anymore, right?
Yes, she applied a lot of force, but in the wrong direction. So if we make a mistake, we will kill our planet even faster. I think it's clear now. Again, why do we need potential? Why do we need energy to build and do all this? Let me give you another example. Why? Because it's a complex process, and it requires all people, all of our potential. And why could we not do it when we were 7 billion? Why can we do it when we are almost 8 billion? Because our potential has increased, because the task is multidimensional and multi-level, and it has to be solved accordingly.
Right, dear viewers, the conference Global Crisis, Time for the Truth is lots of important information which we just, which is priceless, you know, and which cannot leave any person indifferent, and which makes each person ponder over what's really happening to the climate today. Because today, with an AKI, we can see that the climate and our planet is going through great changes, and really, if all the scientific potential would be directed to solving the ways out to solve the issues, then it would be really great. And you know, it feels so great that at the conference Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, each speaker voiced such an understanding that exactly the creative society, building a creative society, is able to give us people this common potential, this scientific unification and technical potential, right? And then together we would find a real effective way out of all these crises. And right now I'd like to ask the question to all our speakers actually, but especially now to Anna. Please tell us, what do you think, why it is exactly with the help of building the creative society we would be able to solve climate and environmental problems? Why is it the only way out? Thank you for the question. And really, to solve, you know, all these issues within the consumer formative society, it's just, you know, it's really just impossible, because until we have economic interests and political interests and you know, all these issues that we voice today, these problems, well, will be more important than the tasks of ecology or for example, preserving human life. Because in the consumer format of society, a human life and ecology just is considered as a resource, first of all. So what kind of salvation of the environment can we talk about? There is even, I would say, well, we see that some measures are being taken to solve environmental problems, right? And there are some good initiatives. And even if we say that, for example, there are some restrictions on enterprises and on emissions, decrease in energy, right? But okay, this is already good. But there are still other players would come, so to say, and would take this place, right? Because it looks like if we just cut off the head of one dragon, okay, then another head of the dragon will appear, right? Because only when we change the form of society to the one which will care about the human life, then will it be possible to really change our life for the better. Climatic issues as well as environmental ones as well. So until we just unite into one single society and will take responsibility on ourselves, then of course nothing will change for the better. And we should put the interests of people just in first place. It is time to take responsibility on ourselves, to get united, to build a greater society and solve all the issues that we are facing today. Thank you.
I agree with you, Anna. And what I would like to add is that it's impossible to trick people that know the truth. And this is what Creative Society Global Crisis Time for the Truth was about. It's about people obtaining knowledge. Everyone, equal access to the real situation in 100 languages. And this is why people picking up it so much. We see how much this movement is growing around the world because people feel it. People feel this is the way out of this madness of consumerism and profit-driven society in which it's impossible to fix anything. I would like to ask Ivan, how do you understand why creative society is the only way out?
Oh, show me any other way. I believe we tried every other way and didn't help. How long did it take the consumer society, like I said, 6,000 years, it didn't do squat. And look, another example, let's say UN, since 1945, they're supposed to stop the wars. I don't think we had a single day where there was no war on Earth since then. So the only way to do it is to change the way we think. We have to set different kinds of goals, and we have to find a different solution to reach them, because just talking and at the same time going after the money and the power, which is even more ridiculous, is not the way to go these days. We are far beyond that. So I honestly don't see any other way rather than going creative way, thinking and caring for each other. People for the people, and not robbing the world for my personal gain. I honestly don't see any other way.
Thank you, Ivan. I don't see either. And you know what else it was about? It was about taking personal responsibility, because people from all over the world decided that they take personal responsibility for their future, for the future of their kids, for the future of the humanity. And look what we've been able to accomplish all together. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it a miracle when in this consumeristic madness where money, 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 and nobody cares about anything else, all of a sudden we see how many good people are around the world, how they unite, and how they do amazing things.
I would like to add a few words. Sorry, you just reminded me. The comparison which I really wanted to make is that look how much was done by creative society in these few years which we've seen. The free education problem is solved, uniting of the people is solved, changing of the mindset is solved. It's not a problem when people are really putting their mind and will into it. And thank you, yes, you did personal responsibility. Stop feeding and power hungry people with power. Use your own power for your own agenda. I mean, let's do something ourselves instead of thinking that somebody is going to do it for us. There is no such thing, and it's as a good king, it's never going to happen. Like I said, for the past 6,000 years, we've been waiting for one. He never came. All of them want something for themselves, not for us. So let's do it. Let's do it with our own hands.
Absolutely, Ivan. And what's interesting that people showed that they are not willing to follow these patterns, informational patterns, this informational poison, basically, that we see from the mainstream screens, which lead us to the dead end. We see everything is about profit, is about money only. And it seemed like everyone was accepting this game, even though no one is leading us to the dead end. But all of a sudden, everything changed. And I would like to ask Dr. Ali, how important you think it is for the future of our civilization to exist, first of all, and for the creative society to be built in which human life comes first, not the money, not the profit. How much important for doing that is for each one of us to take concrete actions and implement creative society all over the world already by informing people.
Let me be outspoken about the issue that we are facing today, that why we are not choosing a simple life, why we never established a simple thumbs rule to live in a peaceful bonding with the nature. That if you study the functionalism of the nature, the functionalism of the ecological system, why we are losing the socio-ecological bonding, why the problem is going from the microsystem to the macro system. It's like it was the case scenario of the individual, and now it's the case scenario of the maximum. It's like a collective problem. So we can see it through the lens of the functionalism of the nature and the functionalism of the human life and the social bonding with the nature. It's really disrupted. It's really it's broken already. So we should have to work on it. So if we are choosing a simple life doesn't mean we have to wear all should be like any kind of indigenous people. We are indigenous. We are in the state of indigenous. That's why we are culturally connected. We are connected with our theology. We are connected with our way of life. But why not we choosing it in a very simple way? Make it simpler. Don't make it complex. Look at the fashion industry. It's completely occupied by the branding. So if you are not a branding dressing, if you are not wearing the branding or using the branding cars or branding designs, so it's not to be very acceptable in a society when you are not in a branding format. So we should have to completely abandon this branding format. This branding format really destroying the natural resources and the earth functionalism, the ecological functionalism. We have to work on it. So for the creative society, we have to look for it. The first thing that I have seen it, I'm the eyewitness, that's the palm oil industries, where we can see that palm oil is not a healthy oil, but still we are clearing the forest, the maximum portion of the forest in the Southeast Asia or in the Brazil or in the rainforest of the South America. We can see it. These cheap plantations, it's a very unhealthy plantation for the palm oil industry to keep the pocket high of the consumer, of the capitalist. That's we have to work on it to stop that kind of business. It's completely destroying the functionalism of the society, of the Mother Earth. The real question that we are not asking from ourselves, that why we are not ready to give up for this, the luxury, the dreams for the luxury life, why we are going for it. It is like we can see that it happens in Europe, that the empty flights, they are running across different cities. For what? What is the reason? That's why they are like using the empty flights from one country to another country. We don't need it. At the moment, in the COVID-19, we have to limit our traveling across different continents. That is the one thing. The second thing, for the simple life, we have to choose not the branding style, not the concrete living format. That's the earth really facing now. That the concrete residencing, that we are building the concrete buildings in the already occupied big cities. We can see that the urbanization is completely congested and it's near to collapse. We can see almost in all big cities with a huge population, they are not accepting or cannot adjust the more population, the displaced or the refugees that's coming from the developing countries. So we have to change this kind of the concept. We have to change, or we can say it's a radical transformation. So for this radical transformation, we have to take a great actions. Although we know that our leaders, they are not ready to accept a simple lifestyle format, because they have the mentality, of power, more crowd or populism. That is the one thing that's we are really facing in the across the world, different countries with a different kind or with a different style. They are using the religion to hold the people, and they are using the other ideologies, or they are using the money, the power, and they have a great army. They have a very strong defense system. So that is the one thing. It's a real threat. It's a real risk for the humanity and real risk for the planet Earth. So for this, for using this format that comes to closer the human and nature, we have only the one format, that is the socio-ecological bonding. So we should have to work on it, or otherwise, I think there will be more collapse. There will be more collapse of the system. There will be more collapse of the different, like the bonding that we have already. Like we can see that particularly in Asia, we can see that the young people, they are wasting most of their time of the useless apps that have no benefits to the humanity, and they have no benefits for the ecology of the Mother Earth. So we have to look for it. Why these apps that are controlling the young people's mind, they are not resilient anymore, and they are just like controlling under with the help of technology, and which is directly under control of the capitalists or the industries. They don't care. They really don't care of the humanity. They really don't care of the empathy, or they really don't care of the animal rights, and they really don't care about the simple life format. They don't want it. They don't want to adopt it. So we can see they hate the indigenous people. They hate the people those are living with their own rural type of life. They don't like it. They just hate it. They exploit their rights, or they exploit their life for the natural resources, like more explorations and more cutting forest. So we can see that with the help of the political power, money, and resources, technology, and also the military, they have a military power. So that's why they are very strong. I want to name it, that we can see that
Really?
happening right now in Southeast Asia. We can see that Myanmar. I have a friend from US. He is the environmental engineer. He told me that we don't have healthy river anymore. Anyway.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali. Yes, and we can see this tremendous social injustice all over the world, and we can see how much the difference between rich and poor in every country. It used to be 80% of wealth concentrated in 20% of the society, but today it's closer to 99% of global wealth controlled by 1% of population. And it is happening everywhere all over the world. And there is no other way out rather than build a creative society in which all people live in prosperity, because the goal of the society itself is to provide the highest value of human life for each person. Each human life is the most valuable thing. And what can be more important? And Natalia, would you like to ask anything else?
С огромным удовольствием.
Yes, with great pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Ali, for your great comments and examples. And I do agree with you that today is the time when each person has to think on how the way he lives, or the way he just spends his resources. And of course, we people should create and find this common solution how to the corporations which distribute and waste all our just resources, right? So thank you very much for your opinion. And also I would like to ask Alexander Masny right now, or just another speaker. Alexander, please share, because you are an active participant of the Creative Society project, and you realize the importance of informing people about Creative Society. Please share your experience and understandings of what simple actions each person can take, even couch potato, so to say, or a person just doing his daily routine. So what can each person do in order to inform all the humanity about the Creative Society?
Thank you, Natalia, for your question. It's really, really important one, because people usually ask it. So what can I do? And the first thing that all people who already know about Creative Society, they should start talking about it. Talking to their friends, talking to their relatives, talking to people who they just met on the street or occasionally. We have a lot of topics for these small talks. We have a lot of things that we usually discuss with our friends, but Creative Society is the most important topic that can also be used either for a small talk or a complete long discussion, how it can solve all issues that we have in our society. For people who don't know, just learn more about Creative Society. Make your own picture of it, like what is really about. Even I'm participating in Project Creative Society for several years, and it's very important that every conversation about it, every international discussion like this one brings more understanding. And for example, recently, I really understand a lot the importance of responsibility. What is responsibility? We have it in this foundations that the affairs of the society is the affair of each person. So everyone should be informed and involved in affairs of the whole society, these self-governments of society. But what is really about? And recently I understand that when you first initiate some action and you start doing it. That's what's really this responsibility is about, that you start acting yourself. You don't wait for somebody like your neighbor or your friend who will start implementing it or start doing it, but you do it yourself. You can be an example for your friends. You can be this driver who actually drive the implementation of creative society. You can start those short videos and post it on TikTok, like videos that are really people you usually like, but there are no sense behind it. Like these videos of these cute animals or something else that is going on about issues of our society. But we can point it into a good direction, into a creative direction, building the creative society. So we can discuss these issues with our friends and make these posts in social networks. Because everyone is using a social network like, I don't know, Instagram, Twitter, Vkontakte, Odnoklassniki, or Facebook, or whatever. Like in China, there are also like WeChat and etc. So all these social networks that we have, we usually share our impressions about vacations. We share our opinions about something that has happened to us. But you can share about most valuable topic that we have right now, saving the humanity with creative society. I don't know, it's really, really important, this responsibility that everyone who already know he start being an example. And it's really wonderful also to not be alone in this action, but join the huge team that's already doing and implementing it right now. We have a lot of topics where we are working, where I don't even call this work, but it's like we're doing it with pleasure. It's really a huge team, and it's really wonderful how a unity of people can implement the most valuable thing that we can have, what all the prophet dreams about. It's really amazing, and it's surprising me every time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alexander. And I would like to sincerely thank to each one of our guests for being here with us, for continuing to reveal more deeply the topics that were voiced at the conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, and for all of your inspiring words. And I would like to thank all our dear viewers. Dear friends, please, let's organize the same discussions in our cities, in our countries, with our friends, with our colleagues at work, with everyone we know, because our world, this planet, really needs to wake up and decide what our society will be like. And the choice is up to each one of us. So let's take the right choice.
Да, друзья, действительно.
Right, friends. It's true that time has come to make the right choice, right? Because if we look at what's happening today in the world and we listen to the climate eyewitnesses, if we just talk to the victims of climate events, which say that these cataclysms, they can be compared to military actions. And indeed, friends, if we look at watch the footages of different videos and news and on internet, that what like disasters leave after them, just tears and death, and they do look like military actions, don't they? And today we can understand that we have faced the only enemy, it is the climate. And we, friends, we should wake up and understand, realize that we have no other problems. We have nothing to divide. We are not enemies to each other. We are all living today, sitting today in one boat, and we need to get united today in order to to confront our common enemy, because this enemy is really going ahead of us, because we can even not we cannot come to the common point that there are climate issues. So what else can we do? We should unite. We should unite our potential so as we would have the kind of opposable instruments just against this climate cataclysms, because disasters, the forces of nature leave people homeless. And friends, we see it just today, and you know what's the scary thing about that? That each of us will face these issues in the nearest years. Do we really want a future, such a future for our dear ones and loved ones? Friends, today millions of people are uniting just on the basis of the Creative Society projects, and they're informing about this project. And that is why today, even today, we have started getting ready for the unprecedented event, the International Online Forum, which will take place on the May 7th this year, and it is called A Global Crisis Where the People Want to Live. And friends, and it will be interpreted into 100 languages. Friends, if you understand the criticality of the situation today, and please join millions of people from around the world, and only together we can find the issues, the ways out of these issues, and we'll be able to survive all these cataclysm changes. Because we see that cataclysms are increasing their strength. And friends, let us just get united today while we have a chance, while we still have time. Thank you very much for being with us. Let us go on with our international discussions, and let us inform people about the Creative Society project. Let us tell our friends about it. And see you soon, friends. Bye-bye.